Happy Wednesday, everyone. How are you doing on this sun-shining, amazing wind down Wednesday? I want to welcome you to this phenomenal platform, Get to Know Bob. Our opportunity to do just that, to get to know some amazing Black business owners, musicians, authors, founders of nonprofits and other organizations, people just doing the thing in the community, helping our youth, helping our adults, helping our seniors, just all around helping our people. I just love meeting new Bobs every single day, every single month, and to have the opportunity to have them come on this platform so you could get to know them as well is definitely an honor that I do not take lightly. I am your host. I am Sonia M. Weaver, and I just want to say I've missed you. I hope you've missed me too. It is summertime, so I thank you for understanding that there are times when I am going to be vacationing myself, when I am just taking a rest to enjoy the sunshine and my family and friends. I know I haven't been here since right around the 4th of July. I had taken off for that week and was also off last week. More to come in the show. A reason why I was off last week, but I'm glad to be here because we are, still in the beginning of July because I wasn't here for the first couple weeks. So it is time for you to have our Q2 a recap. Yes, we get to go through some of the amazing clips from the Bobs that we had during Q2. And let me tell you, every time I get prepared for a recap show, I'm just somewhat speechless. I am somewhat speechless because of the amazing people and then all of the things that are happening around the community. Because I don't know about you, there is a lot of devastation going on in the world, from just traveling on the roads and seeing automobile accidents, to watching in the news or watching and scrolling through social media, having phone conversations and text messages from friends and family, just sharing about, death or injury or illness and sickness, hospitalizations. There is so much going on in this world that is not good, right? That is devastating to a lot of levels. To be able to offer something positive, and on top of it, to have people, because I am offering a platform to bring you awareness about the amazing things that Bob is doing. So even though you hear all of this devastation, to be able to have and know that there's people out there doing so much positive. The positive, I'm going to be honest, from my perspective, does outweigh the negative. There's still a lot of work that has to be done. Do not get me wrong. I do understand that. But people are stepping up to the work that needs to be done, and they are dedicated, they are diligent, and they're making it happen. And I am just honored for an opportunity to present them to you. So I thank you for being here. If you're watching live, I thank you. Join in on the chat. If you are watching the replay, please leave some comments. Let us know how much you enjoy us. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you for landing here, but make sure you subscribe to the channel. Your subscription makes an impact you would not even believe. It is just not for my well-being. Please don't think so. It is for the opportunity, for the reach, for all of the amazing Bobs that do come on this platform. We want to make sure that not only locally wherever they're from, but it goes across this whole U.S. It goes international if necessary, right? People can send their products, their services across the US, across the globe, but it will happen once we get the subscriptions up. So go ahead and please subscribe. And while you're there, make sure you tap on to that notification button so you will not miss any future episodes that happen when we go live. Other thing that's happened during summer vacation. This is yes, summer vacation. And so I have still worked though. This is even though it might be vacation for some people, this is an opportunity for me to just review some things, how they're happening. We are over halfway through 2023. Yes, we are in July. So we are over the hump of halfway through the year. And I always like to reevaluate. I don't want to wait until the end of the year. If there's changes that need to happen to make things better, I'm all for it. So we have had conversations on changing some things up, spicing some things up, making the flow a little bit better, as well as, yes, I'm finally getting positioned to go off site. Yes, I can't wait to visit Bob's right in their place of business so that you can really truly connect with them. And then we're going to incorporate on social media Bob's in my backyard. Oh, I cannot wait for that one, to introduce you to some Bob's in my backyard. So there has been a lot of movement going here on Deals with Bob and on Get to Know Bob, but it's always for three main reasons, so that we can create awareness of our amazing Bobs and that we can encourage you to support them, because we wanted you to know where the reputable Bobs are. Not just support Bob because it's Bob, right? Not to support bad service, not to support subpar products, but to support the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop, those reputable businesses. And that's who we present to you. So then you can support them. That is why we encourage you to do so. And most importantly, so we can leverage our buying power, unite our dollars, and begin restoration of our communities. When we have bustling businesses in our communities thrive, and that is our end goal. So again, thank you for your engagement. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being a part of this movement, and make sure you share with others. So while I was away, I didn't put everything up. So I'm going to reveal it to you on our upcoming shows. But one thing I had to highlight for sure. Last week I wasn't here because last week was Money Matters for Youth Camp. If you don't know, Gail Perry Mason is amazing here in the local Detroit, Michigan community. Always giving of her time, her talents, her heart to many organizations, many businesses. And this was an opportunity for me to give back to the work that she tirelessly does every single year. And that is to provide money. Yes, money knowledge, information on investing, on stocks, just to give that much needed education to our children, to get them excited about money, to not fear money, to know that you do not love money. Her one quote that she always starts the camp off is, do not love anything that cannot love you back. That is so true. But she understands how money is a resource and can make so much impact in a lot of people's lives, in their businesses, in their organizations. And therefore, she wants to make sure that our youth are equipped with the knowledge they need, so that when they apply that knowledge in those principles, they can unlock the power and potential that they have. So I want to just show you just a little bit of the amazing clips that we had at the Money Camp. As you can see, we kicking off with day one, and day one had the youth there just assembling up. If you look to the far right, you can see some of large cap. You see Gail hugging one of the young investors, and then the second photo shows the phenomenal talent of Robin, who is the photographer that was on site. And yes, we cannot wait to have Robin on. And she did a phenomenal job capturing the moments of the week. And if you look at that group of children, that is a combination of our small cap and our mid cap. As you can see, this auditorium was field. We had many, many youth there. Now, I spent my time with Large Cap. Large Cap was a large group this year, and we taught them the sports of money, the sports of finance, and just the all around sports of investing. They were playing soccer, learning how to kick, for the goal and to be focused on their goals. To the right, we were having conversation and engagement with the youth that preferred not to be on the field, but still wanted to be enlightening as we talked about stocks. They then did a tug of war. Yes, they did a tug of war to know when to let go and when to hold on. That is stocks. There are times when you have stock, you have to know when to hold on to them and when to let them go. And of course, we reiterated that in our classroom settings where they were asked to invest $10,000 across the board into 3 stocks, and then see how they were performing 5 years ago, see how many shares they were able to purchase with that $10,000 across those 3 stocks, see how they performed and opened up this year, and what, if any, growth did they have in their portfolio. Of course, they had some additional time on the golf course because those deals are made on the golf course. So here's a few of the young investors learning how to putt. They learned how to drive and they learned how to chip. And then, of course, they had to have some fun and support some businesses in the video game trucks. So they had fun while we got to know some of those business entrepreneurs in that business area. Of course, Gail believes in giving back to the community. And this was our large cap at Focus Hope. They were boxing up their specialty boxes in conjunction with the state, as well as their monthly boxes that go out to our seniors. Then we split the boys and the girls apart, and we decided to partake in some sound therapy where the young ladies understood the power of sound and taking a moment to relax at Dr. Rose Moulton's sound therapy session. It's amazing. If you haven't visited her business, it is located in downtown Detroit, and it is definitely worth the visit. You get an opportunity to relax and understand the importance of how sound can get you into a relaxed meditative state. And of course, we ended the week with our young investors dancing the day away to the sounds of DJ Zoe, who has been a guest here on Get to Know Bob and will be returning in the near future. It was definitely an action-packed week. I must admit, I was exhausted by the time Friday hit, but it was well worth it to have an opportunity to sow into the lives of our youth. And they really enjoyed it. Some of my favorites always is when they do their adulting part and listening to the conversation of how they manage and budget their money for the month to have an actual life, lessons. And they really were very creative on how they budgeted if necessary and the lessons that they learned afterward. If you have a child that is in elementary age all the way to high school, I want you to be on the lookout for next year's 2024 Money Matters for Youth Camp. You will not regret having your child take the opportunity to go to this camp and invest in their future by allowing for them to attend. Now, moving on into our deal of the day, I am going to be giving away some tickets and a book. Yes, the Access Identity Conference is only a couple weeks away. And as you guys know, I cannot personally attend because I will be on vacation. However, I do want you to attend in my absence. And to make the deal sweeter, the book is also available. Yes, that is Dr. Eddie Connor's book, Who can find a faithful man? So, yes, you will attend Dr. Eddie Connor's conference. And if you have not seen all of the phenomenal people who will be on attendance, go right over to his social media platforms and make sure you check out some of the keynote speakers, as well as all of the amazing other attendees who are just going to be there. You do not want to miss getting your tickets to this event as well as the book. And to make it so sweet, I am going to actually give you a special deal from Deals with Bob. What does that mean to you? Well, simply, I am going to omit the 3 steps just for this particular deal. However, you do still need to be a subscriber. And what it's going to be doing is going to be a drawing, and Dr. Eddie and I will be conducting that drawing. So, how does that work? What you need to do is make sure you are a subscriber, and on this segment, and or send us an email or on our social media page. So you can kind of get us however you can get us, but you will want to let us know. Here's the thing. All you have to do is say, I want access, right? If you say, I want access, let me know you want access. Once you do so, I will put your information into our drawing, and we will draw for the tickets and the book to attend the Access Identity Conference. Again, all you need to do is contact me by saying, I want access. You will go into a drawing, and whomever the lucky person is will receive tickets to the Access Identity Conference, as well as Who Can Find a Faithful Man book, authored by Dr. Eddie Connor. Now, in case you are not on social media, or you just don't want to leave a comment on the chat or the link, you can send me a text message by going to 734-991-3995. Again, that's 734-991-3995. But you still have to be a subscriber, and then you just say, I want access. I am just so excited about what Dr. Eddie is doing. He was at the Money Matters camp last week and spoke to the young investors. Very inspiring. As you know, he was on our show, and I know that the message he conveyed was impactful to the young investors that actually heard him. Now, since we are doing a recap, I am going to show you the nonprofits that we featured for these last couple months. We featured Urban Unity, who was fostering love for foster children, and Our Own Wall Street, that is legacy being built together. Both organizations are extremely phenomenal in the work in which they do. Our Own Wall Street, they main service areas is civic engagement, health and wellness, personal and professional development. One thing that I love that they do is once they help a business slash entrepreneur, then their expectation is that you work with the organization to help someone else. That is kind of taking away, demolishing, diminishing the crab in the barrel mentality. You literally are being picked up to your next level, and you're then going to pull someone else up to theirs. What an amazing organization. Then Urban Unity, they focus on educating, empowering, equipping, and exposing the foster children with the information that they need to move forward. They make a difference in the lives of children through the passion that they offer, through the trust that they provide, through the empathy that they show, and the support that they give. Now you know why both Urban Unity and Our Own Wall Street were featured nonprofits for this past quarter. I will have to say some of the things that I want to make sure that you keep on your calendar is the jazz that I love. So yes, we are saying support the Johnny Lawrence jazz festivals every Friday happening in Ypsilanti, Michigan. You can go on the social media platforms, do a search for Johnny Lawrence, and you will find out the phenomenal lineup that is happening. If you have any events coming up, do not hesitate to send them our way. We will be here next week, so we will get, I'm sure, so many to share with you on next week. Then we're taking another week off, but then we're planning on coming back in full force as we start rolling in. Unfortunately, summer will be coming to a close, but as we start rolling into our back to school and getting everything back on track, as we bring you our weekly segments here every Wednesday evening. I'm gonna take a break. If you have not subscribed, you just joining in, make sure you subscribe. Now we're moving right on into our recap. Can you believe it? Again, here we are. And so on the show, we had on April the 19th, we had a show with the phenomenal Cassie Jones McBride. She had just launched her nonprofit organization, and this show was on April 19th. If you did not see it, make sure you take a moment to go back and watch that show, as Cassie is doing phenomenal work in the community. She talked about how she had a couple of initiatives she started prior to this launch, upon which she's always helping people in our community. We thank you, Cassie, for all the work you do and that you continue to do for our community. Then on the April 26th, we had a conversation with Tiffany Cartwright of Glam Body Scrubs. And since our conversation, we're going to give some applause to Tiffany Cartwright, because her products, while they were featured on so many platforms when we had her on the show, they have still continued the momentum and gone on Good Morning America. As you know, Good Morning America tells you those phenomenal products to try or to use or to support, and Glam Products was one of them on Good Morning America. Congratulations. She was on the Tamron Hall show. Can you give another clap for that? And of course, she was featured in the must purchase list for Target. OMG. Congratulations, Tiffany, for the amazing, amazing um, products that you have brought to our community. On May 3rd, we had a conversation with Sharon Jones. And for you at this particular time, we have a little clip. Let's see what Sharon shared with us.
In the foster care system, which one is lack of resources. We have so many resources, one that the children don't even know anything about. So we want to get in front of the supports or the policymakers and let them know, like, hey, these are their children actually. So if you had a child that was yours, you would want X, Y, and Z for them. So why not want the same for the child that you took out of someone's house or their home or what was normal for them? So we need to stand in front of these policymakers and let them know, like, these children deserve the same resources that you would give your child.
Yes.
So that's very important. Another thing is we don't have enough foster homes. So we do need to bring awareness to foster parenting and adopting. It's important because right now we have 4,000 foster homes in Michigan and it's 12,000 children.
Mm,
That's a big gap. Um, so they end up overcrowded in a group home, overcrowded in a house, or just not getting the appropriate household situation that they deserve.
I just so appreciate the work that Sharon does. What she stated was there's not enough foster homes. And we talked about on that show, if it was in your heart to be a foster parent, to really consider the needs, because the proportion of foster homes and the proportion of foster children, as you can see, don't match up. And if that is not your calling or gift, get in front of your legislation. That's what she mentioned. That it's important for us to get in front of our legislation. That's important for us to volunteer and be a voice to support our children that are going through the uh, foster care system. I encourage you to watch that episode in its totality because there's so many nuggets and so much information just about the need that a lot of people are not aware of what's all involved in foster care. And there's still so much to know, right? On the May 10th, we had a conversation then with Jessica Smith of JLS Vision Services. Let's take a moment on that recap.
Me an opportunity, right? Like I start in infancy with my businesses and tell them to put the bookkeeping in place. Because what I find is it's so much harder, and I think all of us know this, right? It's so much harder and more time consuming to have to go back and remember what some expenses were for, or and then or it comes tax time, right? The next year, and they don't care that you're in infancy. They want their money. So at the end of the day, are you just, saying, oh, I have nothing to write off? Or
Mm.
are you writing off those things like your phone bill, your internet, depending on, if you're a home based business, or, there's so much in there, right? That you can capitalize on. But again, what you don't want is them coming after you and you don't have any proof for that.
So, are your books in order? That's a very important question to ask. And I'm glad Jessica brought it up that it's important soon as you start right in infancy to make sure that your books are in order, that you're structured the way you need to be. Because, like she said, the three letters that we don't say, the three letters, they don't care that you're in infancy. So you will want to make sure that everything is right where it needs to be. So how many times have you delayed and wait to the last minute, especially like she said, those receipts, and you got to think back where they came from. If you have your books the way they need to be and have a system that works for you, that's important. The system that works for you, then it will make it so much easier when it comes to that tax time or when it comes to you applying for grants and loans. So, thank you, Jessica, for taking the time to come on our show and sharing the importance of bookkeeping and having your business structured the way it needs to be. We then had a conversation on May 17th with Vertanji Kendrick Bailey, the founder of Hezekiah Kids Incorporated.
An educator, a mother, a community activist, a leader, I look at the kids with special needs. We can't just always pull them apart and just sit them here. We need to have them out and about in the community, so that they can get accustomed to doing things and being out. If you follow me on social media, when I move, my son moves. And I think we were at a mutual friends party. And I said, let me drop my son off at my parents' house. He said, no, for time to bring him on. So having the kids be out and about, being a part of the society and community really helps them to grow and advance. And it also teaches them those social skills the kids with autism miss. Like, well, my son, he's not very outgoing, but because I take him out, he knows how to socialize and mingle. He may
Right.
get tired and go sit down, but we have to teach them that there is some ability in a disability. So we
Right.
have to get them acclimated that yes, you are different, but with the right with the right resources and education, you can still be productive in society.
Exactly. I love when she said there's so much ability in the disability, and that is so true. We don't focus on the disability, we focus on the inclusion. One other thing that Ratanji said was, when I move, he moves. She included him in society, she included him in events, and she brought awareness by doing so. People were able to understand and relate and even inquire if necessary what was potentially going on with her son. And that was an opportunity to share awareness. It's not to be ashamed, it's not to hide or any of that. We all are unique individuals. I love the conversation that I had with Ratanji. She makes it very simple to understand that these are just unique people who process information differently, right? They may have sensory impact that you don't have. So, in doing so, further in that conversation, she talked about her son having his music there or his games there. He has to put on his headphones because it gets too loud or whatever the case may be. But it was not to seclude, but to include. And on so many levels, we must remember that it's about inclusion. It's about making people feel a part of society. We should never ostracize one another. We should always include one another. This is definitely an episode that you need to revisit if you haven't watched it before. We share more information on the spectrum and what that looks like. So you're getting awareness. So when you're out and about, maybe that will make a connection for you that possibly the individual may be on the spectrum or have some other type of disability. I absolutely enjoyed that conversation. Make sure you check it out as well. We then had a special night. Yes, on Thursday, May the 25th, we had a conversation with Dr. Eddie Connor, who's a best selling author and motivational speaker.
Ever that I ever wrote was really I wrote it begrudgingly. I never wanted to be a writer at all. It was my mother was pushing my pen on the paper, and she said, "You got to write your stories, not just for you, it's to empower somebody too." And I was like, "I don't want to write it." So I didn't want to tell anybody I had had cancer. It was
Mm,
embarrassing for me, but really did I realize embarrassment became a testimony. And as I was writing, I was healing. I was forgiving a father who didn't show up for me one day in the hospital. And
mm,
so it started off talking about cancer, then it kind of went into purpose. My books have ranged from talking about discovering your gifts, relationships, definitely. Now it's going into masculinity and identity, and even the whole aspect of vulnerability. And so pushing people into their purpose, empowering them to overcome obstacles, but also give them strategy, structure, and solutions on how to do that, and really to discover their why
I
is
love it.
been important for me as a writer.
He said pushing people into their purpose and helping them discover their why. I'm sure you already know that resonates with me. That's exactly why we have this platform for you to businesses to come over and you connect to their why, to understand what they do, who they are, and importantly, why they do what they do. One thing, if you notice my expression that Dr. Eddie said, is that he was embarrassed to have cancer. And I literally kind of jumped back, but I had to remember he was young when he had cancer. So we have to also remember that how this might impact our younger people that have cancer or other type of, you know, diseases or conditions, health concerns, and they may feel embarrassed by it. But it's really an opportunity, like his mom pushed him to write his story because it may impact and help others, was the reason, right? And therefore, it showed and educated and gave a voice on an area that young people needed. And then he also said it was healing for himself. As he began to put pen to paper, he said he began to recognize the anger and needing to forgive a father that didn't show up during this time when he was ill. There are so many things that already go on with the illness. Can you imagine then the additional trauma that could potentially be there? I thank Dr. Eddie Connor for his transparency. And I thank him for his obedience to his mom because it got the path going for him to be able to be an enlightenment and a gift to others, to use his tragedy for triumph. And he's very colorful with the other side of the coin. You know, there's always two sides. So he doesn't focus on the tragic side, he focuses on the triumph side, right? He doesn't focus on the mess, he focuses on the message. And he lets you know that that's where you too can reside, is on that positive flip side of the coin. I encourage you to make sure you watch that episode that we had with Dr. Eddie Connor and get excited. That little piece should have really reignited you to want to actually leave a comment and say, I want access. Yes, that is our free gift that we are giving away, is a ticket to the Access Identity Conference that Dr. Eddie Connor is having in August, on August the 5th. And on top of it, you're going to get his latest book. What you did not see is that he has authored 15 books. So this is a man who definitely has something to say, and people are receiving what he is saying. You will want to have the opportunity to be in the house and connect with him firsthand. Make sure you subscribe. That's part of the stipulations. We then had an amazing conversation with Cheryl Lynn Pope of Motor City Princess. And it was just a phenomenal. Here we go.
Personally, I've always wanted to write. I had creative writing classes in elementary and middle, even through high school. And so one of my goals was to be a published author. But life happens and you put things on the back burner. But every year I notice that I make New Year's resolutions. A lot of people call them goals, but to me they're the same thing. And so it was a reoccurring theme. Every year I wrote down, I wanted to write a book. And so in 2005, I said, this is the last year that I'm going to write this, resolution. I'm going to do it. So in November of 2005, I wrote my very first book, which was a parenting book called 25 Ways to Make Your Child Feel Special. And it was dedicated to my children, Zaria, and my oldest, my son, Marty. And so after that, I decided that I would delve into the children's book genre. And so Zaria being my daughter, I said, you know what? I really want to write a book for girls. And so that's how it started in terms of writing the book, and it was her being the main character. Her and her best friend at the time, Shania, they met in Head Start. They met in Head Start, and so they are the two main characters, in both books. And so that's really was the inspiration, behind writing the book. I mean, we've had so many events around the Princess brand.
How many times have you did a New Year's resolution, and like Cheryl said, she calls them goals, and you do want them, but that year passes and it doesn't happen? Then you write it again on the next year, and that year goes and it doesn't happen. I love how she finally made a true decision, and became dedicated to making it happen. She said this will not be another year that she does not author a book. And she came up with a phenomenal book. I love it. 25 Ways to Make Your Child Feel Special. Now, as parents, we always think like we're doing for our kids. We got to get the lights, the gas, the house, the structure, all of those basic necessities, the clothes, the shoes, etc. So we are doing for our children all the time. To actually take a moment and pause and say, there are 25 things that I could do that will specifically make my child feel special. That is just like phenomenal. I'm thinking I can't even like think of the proper word, because I know I have not done it. I'm sure there's others out there that haven't done it, because again, we do for our children all the time. And even the occasionals outside of the basic needs, when they come to us and they ask us for things and we grant it, or we provide it, or we get it. But I have not read the book. I am looking forward to getting it, even though my children are now young adults. I just want to see, what are the 25 ways that you can make your child feel special. And I'm sure that will have a lasting impact on them as they grow and develop. That the lack of support and encouragement that you hear from adults that have either done something wrong or feel that they're not on path to their goals or are struggling with things, there's a high percentage of those who say they did not get the support, the love, the attention, or whatever the case may be from their parents. So I'm sure that not only is this a good read, but the impact that it probably has long term on their child is priceless. The other thing that I loved is that she used her life around her and her daughter and her daughter's relationship with her friend to write her second book. And from that book, a whole movement started with the princess movement, the princess brand. It's just phenomenal how you can just take some things that you desire, make a decision and work towards it, and it can take on a life of its own and take you to places that you never dreamt possible. Thank you, Cheryl, for all the work that you do with your Princess brand. Make sure you watch that entire episode if you haven't already done so. We then had a conversation on June 7th with Mona Lisa of Mona Lisa's Lyrics, and she shared some amazing information with us. Take a look.
We're in the middle of the Mompreneur and Dadpreneur giveaway tour. So, woohoo! I'm very happy about it. And that means that we go from state to state and recognize and shower with gifts moms and dads that are doing big things through business and through and beyond, in their community. So thank you so much, Deals with Bob, for being a sponsor of our 2023 Mompreneur Dadpreneur Giveaway Tour. So there are many different gifts that are given, but they're products and services to help the featured moms and dads be able to grow and expand and bring more income in so that they can better take care of their family and just the whole nine. So I do what
Yes.
I do. I do what I do because I had a need myself as a single mom and a business owner. Um, I was looking for, support. Like I couldn't get, the support as in community, in a community
Mhm,
of
mhm.
moms who own businesses. I didn't see or I couldn't connect really. I didn't connect with any other already, formed group. And
Right.
I said, well, let me just, so a few years ago, I started picking and choosing, really, literally, the businesses I wanted to network with and that I wanted to grow with and build with. And, I just said, woo, this is a lot of work, isn't it, mommy? This is a lot of work, isn't it, daddy? And yeah, so my love and appreciation for every single thing that we go through,
Mhm.
every single thing that we go through as parents and business owners and wives and sisters and aunts and cousins, it's so many things that we, are responsible for. But yeah, I'm very happy about the Mompreneur Daphne Giveaway Tour.
We are so happy for you, Mona Lisa, for walking in your purpose and taking the time to go through the process of peeling the layers back to finding exactly what piece of what you do within your business brings you the most joy. And that's what she did, being a beacon of support to our moms and our dadpreneurs and taking the time to go on tour and showing how much they are appreciated, reminding them about the hard work that they're doing is not going unnoticed. And on top of it, presenting them with these huge gift baskets full of sponsored other businesses, other moms and dadpreneur businesses with their items or their products and their services being given as gifts to the mom and dadpreneurs that are being recognized in these various states is amazing. Of course, we are honored to be one of the sponsors so that we can sow a seed into another mom and dad entrepreneur by giving and showing our love and our support. That is really what we're here about. As Mona mentioned, she was looking and seeking to be a part of a group, an entity of business owners that did just that, understood the importance of supporting one another, and how when you reciprocate the support with one another and outwardly, you grow collectively together. I just thank you, Mona, for showing that and being an example of that live and in living color, right? That is not just a concept, but that we're walking out that concept every day. And so we're excited. Even this weekend, Mona will be traveling to Chicago, where she will be giving a well deserved mom and dadpreneur recognition, as well as the huge gifts that are coming from a variety of businesses throughout Southeast Michigan, as well as other local and nearby states. So we thank you, Mona, for all the work you're doing and for actually walking in your purpose and being an example of what that looks like to work collectively with one another. On June 14th, we had a conversation with Dr. Portia Lockett, who is the founder of the Ezel Bene Lockett Foundation.
Well, the whole premise, as you can see, of the foundation is to help others heal, offer them hope, and hold their hearts. And so, a lot of times when we talk about grieving, a lot of times people want to put it in a box of the loss of a person. But grieving can come from so many different layers and types and events that can contribute to one grieving. And so just being in tune, to God giving me an assignment, and he spoke this to me. He said, you're going to do permission to grieve. There's going to be 4 segments. Permission to grieve, because there's so many people that don't feel that they have permission to grieve, regardless of what type of grief that they may be going through. Sometimes people want to put it in a box and say, well, you've got 2 weeks. Specifically during COVID, we just didn't have the opportunity to grieve like we would normally grieve. And that can typically, when you lose a loved one, you have people that are coming, calling you, dropping off meals, being there to support you, holding you, having celebrations of life. But during COVID, all that changed.
Right, it
And
did.
so because it changed, people were grieving. They couldn't get the support that they needed from that loss of that loved one. Let alone during that period of COVID, we weren't able to interact. There was no social, there was no social life. Think about the children who are not able to go to school for 3 years and then transitioning out of, let's just say, junior high school or middle school and going into high school, and then just not knowing how to behave because they missed out on that transitional piece.
Yes.
And then where a lot of us were going into work every single day, the 8 to 5, you're forced to work from home, or the small businesses that you were working with just vanished. So
Vanished.
you think about all these different types of grief that we experience. So I thought it was just really important to be able to have a conversation and let people know that however it is that you're grieving, it's okay. How long you take to grieve, it's okay. Where you decide to grieve, it's okay. And just so all those different components, it's just okay. And
It's okay. However you choose to grieve, it's okay. However long you need to grieve, it's okay. Whichever way you need to grieve, that's healthy. It's okay. And I would just thank Portia, Dr. Portia Lockett, for reminding us we do have the permission to grieve. She talked about 2020, and I know a lot of people are like, well, we keep talking about 2020, we keep talking about 2020, because we're still finding out some of the long suffering aspects of 2020, right? Some of the residual impact of 2020, and loss is huge in one of them. And she wanted to emphasize right in the beginning that grieving loss of a person is what people tend to think of first, but it's not the only loss. With 2020, she mentioned that children lost like sections of their life from school. So when you left school, you were maybe in middle school, right? And you had those friends, and then all of a sudden, now when school came back, you're now in high school. You missed out on natural progression there, those valuable lessons that are there. And so now you're in a place, a new setting, and you can have now anxiety, you can feel overwhelmed, you can be now performing at like lower levels than what you did before academically, all because there was loss of normalcy during that time. There was loss of time as it relates to the normalcy of your life. There was physical loss of people. There was loss of normalcy, maybe even in homes. Even though it might have been by choice that some people didn't return to the workforce, that normalcy changed. And so that was a difference. And what happens with loss is that it requires then grief. What happens with loss, in order to heal, requires you to grieve. And that is where she was reminding everyone that they had the permission to grieve. It's very important to know that you are allowed to do so, to not feel uncomfortable, to not feel like I need to stop. I need to get on now with life. It's okay to grieve. And I'm so glad that Portia reminded us to do just that. Now, since she's been on the show, she's had a second segment. As she mentioned, she had four that was going to be coming. And so she had permission to grieve. And then she had permission to heal, which was another phenomenal event. What's coming up in the future is permission to laugh, and then permission to love again. So make sure you're on social media and you're checking us out, or here on Get to Know Bob during our Stay Connected segment, because as we move closer to those events, they will be posted during our Stay Connected portion. As we round out our Q2 conversations, we spoke on June 21st to Charles McKay.
I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna keep it as they say in the street, a buck with you. Keep it 100 with you.
Yes, please.
When you see a traffic accident, the traffic on the other side slows down because people like to look and see what happened. They're like a wreck. When traffic is running smoothly, they don't pay attention. And so I made a conscious decision that I wanted to be positive. And so I had to live with the fact that our platforms, or mine in particular, is probably going to have a slower growth. But over time, when you sow good seeds, you'll have a good return. The scripture says that do not get weary in well doing, and do not faint, because sometimes we want to give up if we faint. But if we don't get weary in well doing, eventually we'll reap a harvest. But
Yes.
I've like I said, I've been studying the whole podcast business, and I've seen channels just grow overnight. And unfortunately, it was a business decision that they made. They focused on talking about mess. I mean, and that's so they had beef. You had people who had beef with each other, and they talk about gossip, and they got the views, and they found out that, hey, if we talk about positive things, or things that'll help you, that may get some views. But when they get into talking about mess, so I was kind of joking with you, like, hey, we need to create some fake
We
beef.
need to, yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk
you
about
know.
some mess.
But no, but I at the end of the day, I want to be able to. My motivation is to help people, be a blessing. So my focus is on. I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and like myself. I don't want to bring that negative energy. So I just made a point, like, hey, I
Exactly.
may not have a big channel, but you can be influential as a micro influencer.
Be influential as a micro influencer. And I'm with you, Charles. I believe in taking, I guess, the high road. We can have a show where we can talk about mess, where we can create controversy, where we can do all these things just for views, for subscriptions, etc. And I'm going to continue to ask you to subscribe just like anyone else. And I'm hoping, though, that you will find value in the positive piece, because, yeah, I guess I could have a whole opposite to this and be bashing businesses. Now, if I was doing a black business bash, would you be watching me then? Let me introduce you to the businesses that keep getting it wrong and that keep messing up. I really hope in my heart that I wouldn't have a million subscribers if that was my platform. I'm really hoping that, the positive road of bringing you phenomenal, right? Phenomenal businesses is worth it, because it's really worth it to you. And the bottom line, like Charles says, is hey, for me, I want to sleep at night. And I know that for my purpose, my passion, and my heart is to create a platform for our reputable Bobs and allow me the opportunity to give them this platform to introduce themselves to you, just how phenomenal they are. And I am not going to get weary or faint in doing well and doing work that is pleasing to God. So I do thank you for those who have subscribed. I thank you for your support and your encouragement. And I'm going to ask that you continue to share this platform with others, because as you have seen through our Q2 recap, we have phenomenal people doing phenomenal things within our community, and they are planting seeds all across right now. And the work that they're doing is going to yield a harvest. So please, please help them get noticed, help them get support by subscribing to our YouTube channel. So if you have not already done so, it's very easy. All you need to do is go right on over to YouTube, do a search for Deals with Bob, then click that subscribe button. Yes, please do. And while you're there, hit that notification bell so that you would know every single time that we go live in the future. Well, I truly do thank you for tuning in this evening and for having to be with me for this amazing recap of Q2. I am excited for Q3, and we do have a guest coming on next week. We would take a quick hiatus that following week as I'm on vacation, and we would then get the ball rolling right there going into our Q3. If you are a Bob and you want to be on our platform and be a part of Get to Know Bob, letting us know who you are, what you do, and most importantly, why you do what you do, then go ahead and shoot us an email at info@dealswithbob.com. Yes, or you can contact me directly at 734-991-3995 and let us know you are a Bob and you will want to be a guest on Get to Know Bob. Thank you so much again for being here tonight on our show. Again, I encourage you to share this with others, because that is a way of supporting. And you know how we here are at Get to Know Bob. We encourage support of Bob. So we do thank you for your shares. As always, I am Sonia M. Weaver. I encourage you to spend with purpose, because your dollars do matter, and deal with Bob. Have an amazing evening. I'll see you next week. Bye.